Panthers legend Julius Peppers will become a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame this summer. That was announced last night out in Las Vegas. Joining us from the Sin City is Darin Gantt himself from Panthers.com and also a member of the Hall of Fame Selection Committee. Darin, I guess, what was it like to be with Julius when he was officially announced into the class of 2024?
The smile on his face, I can't describe it. I mean, Julius has always been, because he's large, because he's physically imposing, because he's great at everything he touches athletically, he seems like he's up here on some level above us mere mortals. But listening to him tell the story about running into Barry Sanders and saying, I'm a Hall of Famer just like Barry Sanders, it was adorable, for lack of a better word, because you could tell that was kind of the moment when it became real to Julius what he has accomplished and the way other people view him. Julius has a humility about him that is natural and not an act. It is genuine. He is truly taken aback by all this attention. He's never really been comfortable with the spotlight, but he's in it now because he's earned it.
You're in these meetings and you hear what is said about all of these candidates and finalists and now Hall of Famers. What are some of the things that you heard said about Julius Peppers when it came to his selection?
Honestly, the discussion was quite short. There wasn't a lot said because I think there was a general assumption, well, yes, of course, Julius Peppers is a first ballot Hall of Famer, the 90th one of those all time out of a group of 378 people. So fewer than a quarter reached the level Julius reached last night. And I think that there was just an expectation that, of course, the man who's fourth on the all-time sack list, of course, the man who's one of only 29 two-time all-decade players is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I just think that's kind of the way everyone approached it. I mean, it's not, there have been discussions in the Hall of Fame room where someone stands up and says, Peyton Manning, and they sit back down because nothing more needs to be said. It wasn't quite to that extent because there were things I felt compelled to share with people about Julius and his career. But I will say the discussion was brief because I think the expectation was he is that good. He is that deserving. Let's not waste any more time on this.
With Julius, I feel like there's what it looks like and what it looked like on the field. And then when you look back at the statistics, so I'll start with the numbers. What are some of the things Julius Peppers did from a statistical standpoint? How do you put those into perspective among the greats in the game and the greats of his era?
Well, I just look at the all-time sack list. Bruce Smith, Reggie White, Kevin Green, Julius Peppers. That's the neighborhood he's living in. Two of those three guys were first ballot Hall of Famers as well. It took Kevin Green a little bit longer for several reasons. I mean, Kevin bounced around a little bit from team to team and never really got that kind of traction in one place the way everyone else did. But I just think that when you compare him to his peers, I mean, there are so many things that he's the only one that, you know, the only player in NFL history with 100 sacks and 10 interceptions. You know, 6'7", 300-pound dudes are not supposed to be able to return interceptions 99 yards. They are not supposed to pick balls off one-handed and return them for touchdowns. I mean, there were so many things that Julius did simply because he was the only one able to do them. I'm still convinced if he had chosen basketball, he would have been a 10, 12-year NBA player and probably an all-star at some point, maybe like a Ben Wallace, who never scores a bunch of points but is an incredible defensive player. He had that capability and really enjoyed playing basketball. It's just, oh, by the way, he's the greatest to ever do the thing over here in this other sport.
And you've talked a little bit about what it looked like. What's the first play that comes to mind when you just think of the ridiculous Julius Peppers plays you saw over the years?
Well, the Michael Vick grabbing the sack strip fumble out of midair, returning it for touchdowns right up the list. The Denver return, the 99-yard return where he kind of trips up after a 100-yard dash at altitude, and Rod Smith finally got near him and he tripped over the 5-yard line. The play before that Denver return kind of sticks out in my mind because Jake Plummer's quarterback in the Broncos at that point. He's a mobile guy. He's a fast guy. And on third down from about the 3, he goes naked bootleg to the corner. Julius bites one way, falls down, stands up, chases him down from behind. The laws of physics don't work out that someone his size is supposed to be able to go from here to here before that guy goes from here to here. And he did it. He just did so many of those things over the course of his career where you see him do that and say, yeah, that's a pep thing. That's one of my favorite things in talking to former players is just ask the guys to describe the time they saw Julius do the thing, because they all got a different story and they can all describe it in incredible detail because they're all fans of his, because he does things that no one else can do.
Julius will be enshrined this summer in Canton, Ohio, as Sam Mills was 2 years ago. Darin, this is becoming a semi-regular thing. I know you've got a piece up on Panthers.com about who is next, because that's where we all turn to. Let's start with Steve Smith, who has been a semifinalist, and the fact that Andre Johnson got in last night and how that may affect Steve's candidacy.
Sure. As we pointed out on Panthers.com this morning, having that logjam at receiver broken by Andre Johnson can't hurt Steve. I mean, he has been kind of on the fringes of that finalist discussion. He's been stuck in that 16 to 25 group for the last 3 seasons. And I think with Andre pushing through, there's an opportunity for him. Next year is not a tremendously deep class of first-year eligibles. I mean, there's Luke Kuechly. Eli Manning will certainly become a factor in the conversation, whether you think Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer or not. He will be a factor, but there aren't a ton of first-year guys who you say, oh, he's absolutely going in. So when you think about the 6 through 15 this year who didn't get inducted or weren't announced last night, you take those guys, you add in, Kuechly, Steve Smith, maybe an Eli Manning, there's no opportunity for him to get to the 15. And I think the other thing that I pointed out in that piece you referenced this morning, Torrey Holt was in the 6 to 10. He made the final 10, but not the final 5. And then Reggie Wayne was in that 11 to 15 group. So I think there's an opportunity. We've sort of established a pecking order now among those wide receivers. Andre broke through. Torrey appears to be the next one to come through whenever that may be, perhaps as soon as next year, and then Reggie after it. The thing that's always stood out to me about Steve is Steve has better numbers than all those guys. If you look at where he ranks on the all-time list, he is ahead of all of those 3 guys we've been talking about. The only guy on the all-time receiving yards list ahead of Steve who's not in the Hall of Fame is Larry Fitzgerald, and he's not eligible yet. So I think there's an opportunity for Steve to gain some traction, but these things tend to work over time and with a little bit of inertia. So I assume we're going to talk about Torrey and Reggie before we get to Steve Smith, possibly. But in terms of Luke Kuechly, I think his discussion could be short. I mean, Luke is, with Patrick Willis going in last night, Luke is Patrick Willis. They're the same person. 8 years, career cut short by injury, 7 Pro Bowls, 5 first-team All-Pros, all-decade linebacker. They are the same guy. And so for Patrick Willis to push through, I think makes it a little bit easier for Luke.
So you've addressed Luke and Smitty. Cam Newton's being asked about it on Radio Row all week.
Sure.
And I've had fun watching that. He's certainly done some things no quarterback has ever done in the league before, got to a Super Bowl. Kind of one of those guys, when you look at I don't know what the criteria is, but can't write the history of pro football without Cam Newton in those couple of years that he had.
You cannot. He is unique. He's one of one, as they say. He was him for a long time. Look at me sounding like a kid. Cam,
they weren't even saying that back then either.
Yeah, no, they invented phrases for Cam. Cam makes everything a little bit extra because of his personality, because of the way people respond to him. I've joked over the years, Cam Newton makes people stupid. Discussions of Cam tend to go to places they were never intended to go because his personality is so large and he's so fascinating a character in this drama. But you're right. I mean, Cam did things no one else in football's done. All the two-way quarterback records belong to him. They were set by and large by Steve Young. So all those things of the most games with 2 touchdown passes and 2 touchdown runs, however you want to combine all those rush pass numbers, you look at the top of the charts and it's Cam Newton, Steve Young. Steve Young's in the Hall of Fame. Steve Young was a better passer, obviously, and played in one of the most prolific offenses we've ever seen in San Francisco with some incredible talent around him. But Cam did a lot of stuff himself. If you look back at that 2015 Super Bowl team, And no offense to the Jericho Cotcheries of the world. He caught it, by the way. But Cam was out there doing Cam things by himself. And he willed a team and carried a team to a 15-1 record in a Super Bowl. So I just think he's special. I think he's unique. He's the all-time leader in rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks, and has more rushing touchdowns than most of the Hall of Fame or many of the Hall of Fame running backs. Guys like Earl Campbell don't have as many rushing touchdowns as Cam Newton. So he's a unique character. I look forward to the discussion, but I anticipate it will be, let's say, complicated.
Last question. I do want to jump back to Luke Kuechly for a moment, and just setting aside Patrick Willis, what do Luke Kuechly's numbers say about him and his position among the game's greats, just on their own merit?
Every year he played, he was the best in the league at what he did. I mean, I think it's as simple as that. Luke's tackle numbers get kind of hinky sometimes because, what is a tackle? Who's counting them? Coach numbers are often different from game book numbers and those quote unquote official tackles. But I just look at the way he dominated his position over time. When someone is a 5-time first team All-Pro, 2-time second team All-Pro, so 7 of the 8 years, everyone in the game agreed that he was one of the 2 best people to do the thing he did. And 5 times he was the best at it. So I'm just astounded that he was able to maintain that just elite level of play for the short amount of time. Now, again, people will talk about a short career. He only played 8 seasons because of the injuries. But now that we've done Tony Baselli, now that we've done Terrell Davis, I don't think there's that stigma anymore for the players who only played a brief amount of time, as long as they played it at a super high level. And Luke Kuechly obviously did that.
All right. You'll be in a much different place this summer, Darin, in Canton, Ohio, but enjoy Las Vegas and stay out of trouble.
There's slightly more things to see in Las Vegas, but it's definitely going to be warmer in Canton.